My name is Effie Caldwell, and I'm 74 years old. I spent 50 years building a business empire from nothing. A chain of 16 luxury beauty salons across Georgia and Alabama, worth over $20 million. My children thought they could take it from me, thought they could declare me incompetent, take control, and push me aside, thought my legacy would be theirs just because they were my blood. They were wrong, very wrong. Let me tell you about the moment everything exploded. The moment I sat in my lawyer's office wearing my sapphire blue power suit, watching my 3 children's faces as they heard the truth. The moment they screamed, actually screamed, when they realized what I'd done. It was a Tuesday afternoon in October. My lawyer, Pleasant Williams, had called a family meeting to discuss important matters regarding Mrs. Caldwell's estate and business holdings. My 3 children came, Berta, 52 years old, my oldest, Grover, 49, my middle child, and Della, 46, my youngest. They'd all dressed nicely, professional, like they were preparing for something important. They thought they were coming to hear that I was stepping down, that I was handing over control of Caldwell Beauty Group to them, that finally, after months of pressure, I was giving them what they wanted. They sat in Pleasant's conference room looking smug, confident, like this was already decided. "Thank you all for coming," Pleasant said, opening a folder. "Mrs. Caldwell has asked me to share some important information with you today regarding the future of her business holdings and estate." "It's about time," Grover muttered. "We've been trying to have this conversation for months." "Yes," Pleasant continued calmly. "Your mother is indeed making changes, significant changes, changes that will affect all of you." Berta leaned forward. "So she's finally stepping down, finally admitting she's too old to run the company." "I'm sitting right here," I said quietly. "You can talk to me directly instead of about me." "Mama, we're not trying to be disrespectful," Della said in that fake sweet voice she uses. "We're just concerned. You're 74 years old. You should be retiring, enjoying your golden years. Let us handle the business." "Handle it or destroy it?" I asked. "That's not fair," Berta started. "Let's proceed," Pleasant interrupted. "Mrs. Caldwell, would you like to explain, or shall I?" "I'll do it." I stood up, smoothed my sapphire blue suit jacket, looked at my 3 children, the children I'd raised, the children I'd sacrificed everything for, the children who'd been planning to betray me. "3 months ago," I began, "you 3 filed a petition with the probate court trying to declare me mentally incompetent. You hired doctors to evaluate me. You gathered evidence of my supposed decline. You prepared documents to take over power of attorney and control of my business." Their faces went pale. They hadn't expected me to know about that. "You thought I didn't know, but I know everything. I've known for months what you've been planning, how you've been meeting behind my back, how you've been talking to my business managers, trying to undermine my authority, how you've been positioning yourselves to take over Caldwell Beauty Group the moment you could declare me unfit." "Mama, we can explain," Grover tried. "I don't want your explanations. I want you to listen, because what I'm about to tell you will change everything." I nodded to Pleasant. He pulled out several documents, placed them on the table. "Effective immediately," I said. "I am restructuring ownership of Caldwell Beauty Group. I am removing all 3 of you from any leadership positions. You will no longer have any decision-making authority. You will no longer receive salaries or bonuses. You will no longer have access to company resources." "What?" Berta jumped up. "You can't do that." "I can, and I have. The board approved it unanimously yesterday." "But we're your children," Della cried. "The business should be ours. We're your legacy." "You're not my legacy," I said coldly. "My work is my legacy. The salons I built are my legacy. The thousands of women I've employed over 50 years are my legacy. The communities I've served are my legacy. You 3, you're just people who happen to share my DNA." "This is insane," Grover shouted. "You've lost your mind. This proves you're not competent to make decisions." "Actually," Pleasant said calmly, "Mrs. Caldwell underwent extensive cognitive testing last month by 3 independent neurologists. All three certified that she is of completely sound mind, sharp as ever, more than capable of making her own decisions. I have the reports right here if you'd like to see them. The room went silent. They'd been so sure I was declining, so sure they could prove I was incompetent. And now they were learning it was all a lie they'd told themselves. But if you're removing us, Berta said slowly, her voice shaking, who's getting the business? Who are you leaving it to? I smiled, a cold, knowing smile. That's the interesting part. You see, I'm not leaving Caldwell Beauty Group to any of you. I'm leaving it to someone who actually deserves it. Someone who's worked beside me for 30 years. Someone who helped me build this empire. Someone who loves the business the way I do. Who? All three of them demanded at once. Her name is Alta Freeman. She started as a shampoo girl in my first salon 30 years ago. I trained her, mentored her, watched her grow into an incredible businesswoman. She's now the COO of Caldwell Beauty Group. And as of yesterday, she owns 51% of the company, controlling interest. She's in charge now, not you, her. The room exploded. A shampoo girl, Berta screamed. You're giving our inheritance to a shampoo girl. Someone who's not even family, Grover shouted. Are you insane? Mama, no, Della was crying now. You can't do this to us. We're your children. We deserve that business. Deserve? I let the word hang in the air. Let me tell you what you deserve. Berta, you deserve nothing because for the last 5 years, you've been stealing from the company, taking money from the accounts, buying personal items with company credit cards. I have proof. Every transaction documented. Berta's face went white. Grover, you deserve nothing because you've been selling company secrets to our competitors, trying to sabotage my business so you could swoop in and save it. I have emails, recordings, everything. Grover looked like he might vomit. And Della, you deserve nothing because you've been spreading lies about me, telling people I'm senile, that I'm losing my memory, that I'm making bad decisions. Also, you could justify taking control. I have witnesses, dozens of them. Della was sobbing. Mama, please. You tried to steal my legacy, tried to take what I built, tried to push me aside like I was trash. Well, guess what? I was 5 steps ahead of you the entire time, and now you get nothing. We'll fight this, Berta threatened. We'll take you to court. We'll prove you're being manipulated. By who, Alta, the woman who's been nothing but loyal for 30 years? Good luck proving that. Oh, and by the way, I've also changed my personal will. My house, my savings, my investments, my art collection, everything. None of it is going to you three. It's going to charities, to scholarships, to organizations that actually help people. You're getting nothing. That's when they really started screaming, all 3 of them, shouting, crying, threatening, begging. The noise was incredible. Pleasant had to call security to escort them out. They went kicking and screaming like toddlers, not like adults in their 40s and 50s. And I sat there in my sapphire blue suit, calm as could be, watching my children be dragged out of the room because they couldn't handle losing the inheritance they thought they deserved, but had never earned. If this story has you hooked, you need to subscribe right now and hit that notification bell. We bring you the most dramatic grandmother stories every week. Drop a comment telling us where you're watching from: USA, UK, Canada, Jamaica, Kenya. Let us know. Now let's get into this story. But to understand how we got here, how my own children became so greedy that they tried to steal my life's work, I need to take you back to the beginning. Back to 50 years ago, when I was a 24-year-old single mother with nothing but a dream and determination. 50 years ago, I was 24 years old with 3 young children and no husband. He'd left when Della was just 6 months old, said he couldn't handle the responsibility, said he needed to find himself. I was left with 3 bobbies, no money, no education beyond high school, and no prospects. But I had a skill. I could do hair, my grandmother had taught me, and I was good at it, really good. So I started doing hair in my kitchen, charged $5 for a wash and set, $7 for a press and curl, $10 for braids. Word spread. More women came. I was working 16-hour days, doing hair in my kitchen while my children played in the living room. After 2 years, I'd saved enough to rent a small storefront. Caldwell's Beauty Salon. One chair, one sink, one dream. I worked that salon by myself for 5 years, built up a loyal customer base, saved every penny I could. Then I hired my first employee, a young girl named Alta Freeman. She was 19, needed a job, needed a chance. I saw something in her, the same hunger I'd had, the same determination. I trained her, taught her everything I knew, and she was brilliant, quick learner, hard worker, loyal. Over the next 20 years, I expanded, opened a second salon, then a third, then 5 more. My children were grown by then. I'd raised them while building my business, worked 2 jobs when I had to, sacrificed everything to give them good lives. And Alta was there through all of it. She grew with the business. From shampoo girl to manager to regional director to COO, she earned every promotion, every raise, every bit of responsibility. My children, meanwhile, had different paths. Berta went to college, I paid for it. She got married, had 3 kids, got divorced, came to work for the company when she was 30. I gave her a position as a salon manager. She was mediocre at it, never really committed. Grover went to college too. I paid for that as well. He tried several careers, failed at all of them. Finally came to work for the company at 35. I made him a director of operations. He was lazy, always looking for shortcuts. Della was the youngest, the baby. She'd been spoiled her whole life, never really worked hard at anything. I gave her a job in marketing at 28. She treated it like a hobby, not a career. All 3 of them worked for Caldwell Beauty Group for years. All 3 of them had good salaries, benefits, bonuses. All 3 of them acted like they were entitled to these things just because they were my children. And none of them appreciated it. None of them worked as hard as Alta. None of them showed the dedication she showed. None of them loved the business the way she loved it. The problems started about 5 years ago when I turned 69. My children started making comments. "Mama, don't you think it's time to retire? You've worked so hard, you deserve rest." "Mama, you're getting older. Maybe you should let us take over more of the day-to-day operations." "Mama, we're worried about you. You seem tired. Maybe you should see a doctor." At first, I thought they were being caring, being concerned children. But then I noticed things. Money missing from accounts, just small amounts at first. A few hundred here and there, easy to overlook. But I didn't overlook anything. I'd built this business by paying attention to every detail. I started investigating. Found that Berta had been using company credit cards for personal expenses, furniture for her house, vacations, designer clothes. She'd been doing it for 2 years, had stolen over $200,000. Then I discovered Grover's emails. He'd been in contact with our biggest competitor, sharing information about our expansion plans, our vendor contracts, our pricing strategies. He was selling us out, probably getting paid for it. And Della had been going to my friends, my business associates, people in the community, and telling them I was declining, that I was confused, that I was making mistakes. She was building a narrative that I was incompetent, setting the stage for a takeover. I confronted each of them privately, separately, gave them chances to explain, to apologize, to make it right. Berta cried and said she'd made mistakes but promised to pay it back. She never did. Grover denied everything, said I was being paranoid, that the emails were misunderstood, that I was imagining things. Della told me she was just being honest about her concerns, that she loved me and wanted what was best for me, that I should be grateful she was looking out for me. None of them took responsibility. None of them showed remorse. None of them stopped. That's when I knew they didn't see me as their mother anymore. They saw me as an obstacle, as someone standing between them and money they thought should be theirs. 6 months ago, I hired a private investigator. I needed to know exactly what they were planning, how far they were willing to go. The investigator, a smart woman named Danae, came back with shocking information. "Mrs. Caldwell, your children have been meeting weekly for the past 3 months. They've hired a lawyer. They're preparing to file a petition to declare you mentally incompetent. They have a doctor lined up who's willing to testify that you're showing signs of dementia. They're planning to take control of your business through power of attorney. What? I felt sick. They're trying to have me declared incompetent. Yes, ma'am, and they've already started dividing up your assets. They have a plan for how they'll split the business once they take control. Berta wants the Georgia locations. Grover wants the Alabama locations. Della wants to sell half the salons and pocket the cash. They're planning to destroy what I built. It looks that way, yes. I sat in my office for 3 hours after that meeting, thinking, processing, grieving, because this wasn't just betrayal. This was my children trying to erase me, trying to take my life's work and destroy it for their own greed. That's when I decided, if they wanted war, I'd give them war, but I'd win. Because I didn't build a $20 million business by being weak or naive. I built it by being smart, strategic, ruthless when I needed to be. I called Pleasant Williams, my lawyer. Pleasant, I need you to help me protect my legacy, and I need you to help me make sure my children never get their hands on what I built. What do you want to do? I want to restructure everything. The business, my estate, everything. I want to make sure that people who actually deserve my legacy get it, not the greedy children who are trying to steal it. Are you sure? This will cause a lot of family conflict. Pleasant, my family is already broken. My children broke it when they chose money over love. Now I'm just making sure their greed doesn't destroy the thing I spent my life building. Over the next 3 months, Pleasant and I worked in secret. We restructured ownership of Caldwell Beauty Group. I transferred 51% of shares to Alta Freeman. She'd earned it. She deserved it. I had myself evaluated by 3 independent neurologists. All 3 confirmed I was cognitively sharp. No signs of dementia, no signs of decline, just a 74-year-old woman with the business acumen she'd always had. I documented all of Berta's theft, every transaction, every fake receipt, every personal purchase, over $300,000 total now. I documented Grover's corporate espionage, every email, every meeting, every piece of information he'd sold to competitors. I documented Della's lies, every person she'd told I was declining, every rumor she'd spread, every piece of the narrative she'd built. And then I waited for them to make their move, waited for them to file their petition, waited for them to think they'd won. They filed the petition 4 months ago, trying to have me declared incompetent, trying to take control. That's when I struck back. That's when Pleasant called the family meeting. That's when I revealed the truth. That's when they screamed. After security escorted my children out of Pleasant's office, I sat alone with him for a moment. "Are you okay?" he asked gently. "I don't know. I just disinherited my own children, cut them out of my life. How am I supposed to feel?" "You protected what you built. You made sure it goes to someone who deserves it. That takes courage." "It also breaks my heart. They're my children, Pleasant. I raised them, I loved them, and they tried to destroy me." "I know, I'm sorry. But I can't let that stop me from doing what's right. Alta has worked beside me for 30 years. She's helped me build this empire. She deserves to inherit it, not 3 greedy children who only see dollar signs." "What will you do now?" Now I'm going to keep running my business, keep doing what I love, keep building my legacy the right way. And my children, they'll have to figure out their own lives, without my money, without my business, without me. But what I didn't know, what I couldn't have predicted, was that my children weren't done fighting, that they'd try something even more desperate, something that would put Alta in danger, something that would force me to reveal even more secrets about why I'd really chosen Alta over my own blood. She gave the business to her employee. If you're shocked, smash that like button and subscribe immediately. Turn on notifications. And comment, where are you watching from? And would you have done the same? 2 days after the meeting at Pleasant's office, Alta called me. Her voice was shaking. "Miss Effie, something happened. Something bad." "What is it? Are you okay?" "Someone broke into my house last night. They destroyed everything. tore up my furniture, broke my dishes, spray-painted threats on my walls. My blood went cold. What kind of threats? They wrote "Give it back" on my bedroom wall, and "You don't deserve IT in the kitchen," and "Miss Effie." They knew where I keep personal documents. They went through everything. My files about the business, my contracts, everything. "I'm coming over right now. Have you called the police?" "Yes, they're here now taking photos and statements. But Miss Effie, I'm scared. What if they come back? What if they try to hurt me?" "They won't, I promise you. I'll make sure of it." I drove to Alta's house immediately. When I got there, I saw the damage. It was worse than I'd imagined. Her beautiful home, the one she'd worked so hard to buy, was destroyed. Furniture slashed, windows broken, personal items smashed. And the messages spray-painted on the walls. Angry, threatening, hateful. I knew immediately who'd done this, or at least who'd ordered it done. My children. The police detective, a young man named Commodore Jackson, was taking notes. "Ms. Freeman, do you have any idea who might have done this? Any enemies? Anyone who might be angry with you?" Alta looked at me. I nodded. She needed to tell the truth. "I think it was my employer's children, or someone they hired. They're angry that she gave me controlling interest in her business instead of leaving it to them." Detective Jackson wrote that down. "Can you provide their names and contact information?" "Yes, but you should know they're in their 40s and 50s, professionals. They're not going to admit to this." "Leave that to me. If they're involved, I'll find proof." Don't miss what happens next. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. Comment where you're watching from. After the police left, I sat with Alta in what was left of her living room. She was trying to be strong, but I could see she was terrified. "Alta, I'm so sorry. This is my fault. I should have known they'd retaliate." "It's not your fault, Miss Effie. You did what was right. You gave me something I earned. They're just angry they can't steal what you built." "But they attacked you, threatened you. This has gone too far." Alta was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Miss Effie, maybe I should give it back, the business. Maybe it's not worth all this trouble. Maybe." "No," my voice was firm. "Absolutely not. That's exactly what they want. They want to scare you into giving up, into walking away. But you're not going to do that, because you earned every bit of what I gave you, and I'm not letting my greedy children terrorize you into giving it back." "But what if they do something worse? What if they really hurt me?" "They won't, because I'm going to stop them. And Alta, I think it's time I told you something. Something I should have told you a long time ago. Something that explains why I chose you, why I trust you, why you're more family to me than my own children." She looked at me with those same warm brown eyes I'd been looking into for 30 years. "What is it?" I took a deep breath. This was going to be hard to say, hard to admit, but she deserved to know. "Alta, 30 years ago when you came to work for me, you told me your mother had died when you were 17, that you'd been in foster care, that you'd aged out of the system with nowhere to go. Do you remember?" "Yes, you gave me a job when no one else would. You gave me a chance." "I gave you a job because I saw something in you, something that reminded me of myself at that age. But there was another reason, too. A reason I've kept secret for 30 years. "What reason?" "Your mother, the woman who died when you were 17. Her name was Ora Freeman, wasn't it?" "Yes. How did you know her full name? I only told you her first name." "I knew Ora. We were best friends growing up. We were closer than sisters. We did everything together. And when we were 17, Ora got pregnant. She was terrified. Her parents kicked her out. She had nowhere to go." Alta's eyes went wide. "You knew my mother?" "Yes, and I helped her. I let her stay with me. I was pregnant too, with Berta. We were both 17, both pregnant, both scared. We had our bobbies around the same time, and for a while we raised you and Berta together. We were going to be a team, two single mothers helping each other." "But then what happened? Why didn't I know about this?" "Because when you were 2 years old, Ora met a man. He seemed nice at first, promised to take care of her and you, but he didn't want me around. Said Ora needed to focus on her new family, so Ora chose him. She moved away with you, and I lost contact with my best friend." I never knew you knew her. She never mentioned you. I know, I think she was ashamed. Ashamed that she'd chosen a man over our friendship. But Alta, I never forgot her. I never forgot you. And when you walked into my salon 30 years ago, this 19-year-old girl who just aged out of foster care, I recognized you immediately. You looked exactly like Aura. Same eyes, same smile, same spirit. Why didn't you tell me? Because I wanted to make sure you earned everything you got. I didn't want you to think I was helping you because of who your mother was. I wanted you to succeed on your own merit. And you did. You worked harder than anyone I'd ever employed. You proved yourself over and over again. You became the daughter I wished my own daughters would be. Alta was crying now. All this time you were my mother's best friend, you knew her, you helped her, and you never said anything. I couldn't, not until now. Not until you needed to understand why I chose you. It's not just because you're a good employee, Alta. It's because you're family. The family I chose. The family that actually acts like family. But your children. My children are my blood. But you're my heart. You're the legacy of the friendship I had with your mother. You're the daughter I always wanted Berta, Grover, and Della to be. You're everything they're not. The next morning, I got a call from Detective Jackson. Mrs. Caldwell, we've made an arrest in connection with the break-in at Ms. Freeman's house. Who? A man named Burley Thompson. He's a known criminal for hire. Does odd jobs for people who want something done but don't want to get their hands dirty. He confessed to the break-in, and he gave up who hired him. My heart sank. Who? Your son, Grover Caldwell. We have text messages, payment records, everything. Mr. Caldwell hired this man to destroy Ms. Freeman's property and scare her. He's being arrested right now. I sat down hard. My son, my middle child, had hired a criminal to terrorize Alta, had crossed from greed into actual crime. Thank you for telling me, Detective. Mrs. Caldwell, I have to ask, do you want to press charges against your son? Did I want to see my own son arrested, prosecuted, possibly sent to jail? But then I thought about Alta's terrified voice on the phone, about her destroyed home, about the threats spray-painted on her walls, about how scared she'd been. Yes, I said firmly. Press charges. He needs to face consequences for what he did. Understood. We'll keep you informed. Within hours, the news was everywhere. Prominent businessman arrested for hiring criminal to terrorize his mother's employee. Family feud turns criminal as son attacks woman who inherited mother's business. My phone wouldn't stop ringing. Friends calling to express shock. Business associates asking if it was true. Media wanting comments. I ignored most of it, but I did answer when Berta called. Mama, what have you done? You had Grover arrested. I didn't have him arrested. He had himself arrested when he committed a crime. He was just trying to scare that woman into giving back what's ours. It's not yours. It never was. And just trying to scare her involved breaking into her home and destroying her property and threatening her. That's not okay, Berta. That's criminal. But he's your son. How could you press charges against your own son? How could he hire someone to terrorize an innocent woman? Berta, when did you three become people I don't even recognize? When did money become more important than decency? This is about more than money. This is about respect, about legacy, about you choosing a stranger over your own children. Alta isn't a stranger. She's family, more family than you've been in years. That's insane. We're your children, we're your blood. You know what? Maybe that's the problem. Maybe I put too much importance on blood, because blood hasn't meant loyalty. Blood hasn't meant love. Blood hasn't meant anything except entitlement and greed. At least Alta earned what she got. What have you three earned except disappointment? Berta was crying now. How can you say that? We're your daughters, your son, we deserve. You deserve exactly what you've earned, which is nothing. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a business to run, and unlike you three, I actually work for my money. I hung up, and for the first time in months, I felt something like peace, because I'd finally said what needed to be said. I'd finally chosen the person who deserved to be chosen. That evening, Alta came to my house. She'd been staying in a hotel since the break-in. She looked exhausted but determined. Miss Effie, I heard about Grover's arrest. Are you okay? I should be asking you that. You're the one who was targeted. I'm fine, scared but fine. But Miss Effie, I need to know something. Are you sure about this? About giving me the business? Because your children are never going to stop fighting. They're never going to accept this. And I don't want to be the reason your family is destroyed. Alta, my family was destroyed long before you came into the picture. It was destroyed the moment my children decided money was more important than integrity. The moment they decided to try to steal from me instead of earn their own way. But they're your children. And you're the daughter of my best friend. You're the woman who's worked beside me for 30 years. You're the person who actually loves this business. Alta, blood doesn't make family. Love makes family. Loyalty makes family. And you've shown me more love and loyalty than my own children ever did. I won't let you down, I promise. I know you won't. That's why I chose you. We sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Alta said quietly, Miss Effie, can I ask you something? About my mother. Anything. What was she like, before she met my father, before everything went wrong? I smiled, remembering. She was bright, funny, ambitious. She wanted to open her own business too, a bakery. She made the best lemon pound cake you've ever tasted. She was going to call it Aura's Sweet Shop. She had the whole thing planned out. What happened to that dream? Your father happened. He didn't support her dreams, thought women should stay home, raise children, not have ambitions of their own, and slowly he crushed her spirit. She stopped talking about the bakery, stopped baking, stopped being the Aura I knew. And then he left anyway. Yes, when you were 15, left her with nothing. And she had to work 3 jobs just to keep you housed and fed. She worked herself to death, literally. Heart attack at 42 from the stress and exhaustion. I didn't know she'd wanted to own a bakery. She did. And Alta, I want you to know, when you succeed with Caldwell Beauty Group, you're not just fulfilling my dream. You're fulfilling hers too. You're living the life she should have had. The life she deserved. And that makes me happier than you'll ever know. Alta was crying, but they were good tears, healing tears. Thank you for telling me. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for giving me this chance. Thank you for being the daughter I always wanted. But that night, after Alta left, I got a call that changed everything. It was Pleasant, my lawyer, and his voice was urgent. Effie, we have a problem, a big problem. What now? Berta and Della just filed a lawsuit. They're claiming that you coerced Alta into accepting the business transfer, that you manipulated her, that the whole thing was done under duress and should be voided. That's ridiculous. I know, but they have a witness, someone who's willing to testify that they heard you threatening Alta, someone who says you forced her to accept the business by holding something over her head. Who's saying this? They won't reveal the witness yet. But Effie, if they can convince a judge that the transfer wasn't made freely, if they can prove coercion, the whole thing could be overturned. You could lose everything you've worked for. But I didn't coerce her. She earned this. I believe you, but we need to prove it. And we need to find out who this witness is and what they think they know. Because Effie, if we lose this lawsuit, your children get everything, and Alta gets nothing. I felt sick. After everything, after restructuring the company, after documenting their crimes, after Grover's arrest, my children had found a new way to attack, a new way to try to steal what wasn't theirs. What do? We fight, we prepare for trial, and we hope that whoever this witness is, they're not as convincing as Berta and Della think they are. But as I hung up the phone, I felt a cold dread, because I knew my children, knew how calculating they could be, knew how far they were willing to go. And if they had a witness willing to lie about coercion, this was going to get much worse before it got better. A witness claiming coercion. If you're on the edge of your seat, smash that like button and subscribe now. Turn on all notifications. And comment, where are you watching from? And who do you think the witness is? The deposition started 2 weeks later. Berta and Della's lawyer, a slick man named Tillman Price, was aggressive from the start. Mrs. Caldwell, Isn't it true that you've been diagnosed with early-stage dementia? No, that's completely false. I have medical records from 3 independent neurologists proving I'm cognitively sound. But you're 74 years old. Surely you must have some memory issues, some confusion. I remember every dollar I've earned, every employee I've hired, every decision I've made in 50 years of business. My memory is perfect, unlike your clients who seem to have forgotten that stealing and lying are wrong. Tillman didn't like that. Mrs. Caldwell, let's talk about your relationship with Ms. Freeman. You claim you gave her the business because she earned it. But isn't it true that she's been manipulating you for years? Absolutely not. Altu has been nothing but loyal and honest. Then, why give her 51% of a $20 million business? Why not your own children? Because Alta built this business with me. My children tried to steal it from me. There's your answer. Or perhaps Ms. Freeman convinced you that your children were stealing. Perhaps she planted that idea in your head to turn you against your own family. I leaned forward. Mr. Price, I have bank records showing my daughter Berta stole over $300,000. I have emails showing my son Grover sold company secrets to competitors. I have witnesses who heard my daughter Della spreading lies about my mental competency. Those aren't ideas someone planted. Those are facts I discovered myself. Tillman changed tactics. Mrs. Caldwell, were you aware that Ms. Freeman's mother was your childhood friend? Yes, I've known that for 30 years. And you never told Ms. Freeman? Not until recently, no. Why not? What were you hiding? I wasn't hiding anything. I wanted Alta to earn her position based on merit, not on some connection to her mother. Or perhaps you were grooming her, planning this takeover for decades, using your friendship with her dead mother as leverage. That's disgusting and completely false. Is it? Isn't it convenient that you befriended a young woman whose mother just happened to be someone you knew? Isn't it suspicious that you kept this secret for 30 years and only revealed it when you needed to justify giving her your fortune? Pleasant interrupted. Mr. Price, you're making accusations without evidence. Unless you have proof of this alleged grooming, I suggest you move on. Oh, I have proof. I have a witness who will testify that Mrs. Caldwell threatened Ms. Freeman, that she forced her to accept the business transfer, that the entire thing was coerced. My heart raced. Who's your witness? Tillman smiled. You'll find out soon enough. That evening, I met with Alta and Pleasant at my house. We needed to figure out who this mystery witness could be. Who would lie about me coercing you? I asked Alta. Who would even know about our conversations? I don't know, Miss Effie. We've always been careful. We discussed the business transfer privately. Just you, me. And Mr. Pleasant. Pleasant frowned. Could someone have overheard? At the office? At one of the salons? Possibly, but I don't remember talking about it anywhere public. What about your home? Pleasant asked me. Could someone have been listening? Cameras, recording devices? A chill ran down my spine. You think my children bugged my house? Given what Grover did to Alta's house, it's not out of the question. We hired a security expert to sweep my house for listening devices, and he found them, 3 of them, 1 in my home office, 1 in my living room, 1 in my bedroom. How long have these been here? I asked. Based on the model, I'd say about 6 months. 6 months, right around the time my children started planning to have me declared incompetent. They'd been listening to my private conversations for half a year. Can you tell who placed them? No, ma'am, but they're not cheap devices. Someone paid good money for these, and they knew what they were doing. Pleasant looked grim. Effie, this means they might have recordings of your conversations with Alta. Conversations taken out of context. That could be their proof of coercion. But I never coerced her. I know, but if they edit the recordings right, they might make it sound like you did. The mystery witness was revealed 3 days later, and when Pleasant told me who it was, I couldn't believe it. It's Aura. Aura, but Aura is dead. She died 15 years ago. Not that Aura, a different Aura, Aura Hendricks. She works at your salon in Montgomery, has for about 8 months. I remembered her vaguely. A stylist, quiet, kept to herself. What does she have to do with anything? According to her deposition, she overheard a conversation between you and Alta 4 months ago. She claims you told Alta that if she didn't accept the business transfer, you'd reveal embarrassing secrets about her mother, that you'd destroy Aura Freeman's reputation, that you'd make sure everyone knew what kind of woman she'd been. That's insane. I never said anything like that. She says she has a recording. A recording? How? She was in the supply closet at the Montgomery salon when you and Alta came in to inspect the location. She says she heard everything and recorded it on her phone. Pleasant, that never happened. I never threatened Alta, and I certainly never went to Montgomery with her 4 months ago. I haven't been to that salon in over a year. Then this witness is lying. But why? What does she have to gain? Money, probably. My children must have paid her to lie or threatened her, or both. We need to prove she's lying. Can you provide evidence of where you were 4 months ago? Receipts, calendar entries, anything showing you weren't in Montgomery? Yes, I was in Atlanta the entire week she's claiming this happened. I was at the flagship salon every day. I have security footage, employee witnesses, everything. Good, then we can discredit her testimony. But Effie, we need to be prepared. Your children are desperate. If this witness doesn't work, they'll find another angle, another attack. They're not going to stop. Make sure you're subscribed. Turn on all notifications because this is about to get even more intense. The pretrial hearing was scheduled for the following week. Both sides would present their evidence, and the judge would decide if the case should go to trial. I wore my sapphire blue suit, the same one I'd worn when I'd confronted my children in Pleasant's office. My armor, my power. Berta and Della were there with their lawyer. They wouldn't look at me, wouldn't meet my eyes. They knew they were lying, knew they were trying to steal what wasn't theirs, but they didn't care. Grover wasn't there. He was still in jail awaiting trial for the break-in at Alta's house, but I could feel his presence anyway, his influence. This whole scheme had his fingerprints all over it. Judge Early Simmons reviewed the case files. He was an older man, maybe 70. He'd been a judge for 30 years. He'd seen everything. Mr. Price, you're alleging that Mrs. Caldwell coerced Ms. Freeman into accepting a business transfer. What evidence do you have? Your Honor, we have testimony from a witness who overheard Mrs. Caldwell threatening Ms. Freeman. We have recordings of Mrs. Caldwell discussing the transfer in ways that suggest manipulation. And we have evidence that Mrs. Caldwell has been planning this for decades, grooming Ms. Freeman to replace her biological children. And Mr. Williams, what's your response? Pleasant stood. Your Honor, we have medical records proving Mrs. Caldwell is of sound mind. We have testimony from dozens of employees confirming that Ms. Freeman earned every promotion she received over 30 years. We have evidence that Mrs. Caldwell's children have been stealing from the company, selling company secrets, and spreading lies about their mother's mental state. And we have proof that their star witness is lying. Mrs. Caldwell wasn't even in Montgomery on the date this alleged threat supposedly occurred. I'd like to hear from this witness, Judge Simmons said. Ms. Hendricks, please take the stand. Ora Hendricks walked to the witness stand. She was young, maybe 30, nervous. She wouldn't look at me. Ms. Hendricks, Judge Simmons said, you claim you overheard Mrs. Caldwell threatening Ms. Freeman 4 months ago at the Montgomery salon. Is that correct? Yes, Your Honor. And you recorded this conversation? Yes, Your Honor, on my phone. May I hear the recording? Ora's lawyer, working with Tillman, handed over a phone. The judge listened. And as he listened, his expression changed from neutral to skeptical to angry. After 2 minutes, he stopped the recording. Ms. Hendricks, this recording is clearly edited. I can hear the cuts, the splices. This is not a continuous conversation. This is pieces of different conversations put together to sound like something it's not. Ora went pale. I don't know what you mean. Yes, you do. Ms. Hendricks, did someone pay you to record conversations at the salon? To edit them? To create this false evidence? No, I just... Who paid you? She looked at Berta and Della. And that's when I knew. My daughters had hired this woman, paid her to spy, paid her to lie. Miss Hendricks, I'm going to ask you one more time. Who paid you? She started crying. They said if I didn't help them, they'd fire me. They said I'd never work in this city again. They said they'd destroy my reputation. I needed this job. I have 2 kids. I couldn't say no. Who said this to you? She pointed at Berta and Della. They did. Mrs. Caldwell's daughters. They came to me 3 months ago. Said they needed evidence that their mother was manipulating Ms. Freeman. Said they'd give me $10,000 if I could get them recordings. But when I couldn't get anything useful, they told me to edit different conversations together. Make it sound like Mrs. Caldwell was threatening people. The courtroom erupted. Berta and Della's lawyer looked like he wanted to disappear. Pleasant was taking notes furiously. And my daughters looked like they'd been caught red-handed. Because they had. Your Honor, Pleasant said, I move to dismiss this case immediately. The plaintiffs have presented fabricated evidence. They've suborned perjury. They've attempted to defraud the court. This case should be thrown out and the plaintiffs should face sanctions. Judge Simmons looked at Berta and Della with pure disgust. I agree. This case is dismissed, and I'm referring this matter to the district attorney for criminal investigation. Ms. Caldwell and Ms. Della Caldwell, you may face charges for witness tampering, subornation of perjury, and fraud. Court is adjourned. He slammed his gavel, and just like that, it was over. My daughters had lost. Their lies had been exposed. Their schemes had failed. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed us. Cameras everywhere. Questions shouted from every direction. Mrs. Caldwell, how do you feel about your daughter's actions? Mrs. Caldwell, will you reconcile with your children? Mrs. Caldwell, what's next for Caldwell Beauty Group? I stopped, looked at the cameras, and spoke clearly. My daughters tried to steal my legacy. They lied, they cheated, they fabricated evidence, and they tried to destroy an innocent woman's life. All because they felt entitled to money they never earned. I have no relationship with them anymore. They are no longer my children. They are strangers who share my DNA, and I want nothing to do with them. But Mrs. Caldwell, don't you think that's harsh? They're still your family. Family doesn't do what they did. Family doesn't try to destroy each other. Family doesn't lie and steal and cheat. They stopped being my family the moment they chose greed over love, and I'm done pretending otherwise. I walked away from the cameras. Alta and Pleasant walked with me. It's over, Alta said quietly. We won. For now, I replied, but something tells me this isn't finished. My children are desperate, cornered, and desperate people do desperate things. I had no idea how right I was, because that night I received a phone call that would reveal the biggest secret of all. A secret that would explain everything. A secret that would finally make my children understand why I'd chosen Alta. And it was a secret that would change our family forever. They fabricated evidence. If you're desperate to know what the final secret is, smash that like button and subscribe now. Turn on all notifications. Comment, where are you watching from, and what do you think the secret is? That night I couldn't sleep. The court victory should have felt good, should have felt like justice, but instead I just felt hollow, tired, old. At 2 a.m. my phone rang. It was Pleasant. Effie, I'm sorry to call so late, but there's something you need to know. Something that came up during our investigation into Berta and Della's fraud case. What is it? We found additional documents. Old documents that Berta had hidden in her files. Birth certificates, adoption papers, medical records. Effie, I think you need to come to my office first thing in the morning. There's something we need to discuss. Something important. Pleasant, you're scaring me. What did you find? I can't discuss it over the phone. But Effie, this is going to change everything. Everything you thought you knew about your family. I need you to come in at 8 a.m. and bring Alta with you. He hung up before I could ask more questions. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. Just lay in bed wondering what Pleasant had found. What could possibly be in those old documents that would change everything? At 8 a.m., Alta and I sat in Pleasant's conference room. He spread documents across the table: birth certificates, hospital records, legal papers yellowed with age. Effie, what I'm about to tell you is going to be difficult, but you need to know the truth. Your children need to know the truth. It's the only way any of this makes sense. Just tell me, Pleasant, what did you find? He took a deep breath. 50 years ago, when you were 24, you gave birth to 4 children. Not 3, 4. My blood went cold. What are you talking about? According to these hospital records, you delivered twins on March 15, 1974. 2 girls. But you only took one home. Berta. The other baby, a girl named Alta Mee Thompson, was given up for adoption through a private agency. The room started spinning. That's impossible. I would remember having twins. I would remember giving up a child. You were heavily sedated during the delivery. Complications. The records show you were unconscious for almost 12 hours after giving birth. And when you woke up, the hospital only showed you one baby, Berta. But why? Why would they do that? Because someone paid them to. According to these documents, your ex-husband, Berta's father, paid the hospital to tell you that one of the twins had died. He couldn't handle the responsibility of twins, could barely handle one child. So he made arrangements to give one baby up for adoption without your knowledge or consent. I felt like I couldn't breathe. He gave away my baby. He told me she was dead. Yes, and he made sure all the records were sealed, made sure you'd never find out. But here's where it gets more complicated. The baby that was given up for adoption, she was adopted by a woman named Ora Freeman. Alta made a strangled sound. What? Pleasant looked at her gently. Alta, your mother Ora told you that she gave birth to you when she was 17. But according to these records, Ora never gave birth. She adopted you when you were 3 days old, from a private adoption agency. She paid $5,000, all the money she'd saved, to adopt you. She raised you as her own, and she never told you the truth. But why? Why would she lie to me? Because she loved you, because she wanted you to be hers, and because, Pleasant paused, because Ora knew who your biological mother was. She knew it was her best friend Effie, and she was trying to protect you both. I felt tears streaming down my face. Alta is my daughter, my biological daughter. Yes, the twin sister Berta never knew she had. The daughter you thought had died 50 years ago. Alta was sobbing. Miss Effie, I'm your daughter. Yes, I reached across the table and took her hands. Yes, you're my daughter. You've always been my daughter. I just didn't know it. But how did Ora know? Alta asked. How did she know I was yours? Pleasant pulled out another document. This is a letter, written by Ora to Effie, dated March 20th, 1974. 5 days after the twins were born. It was never sent. I found it in Berta's files. She must have found it among Ora's belongings after she died. He handed me the letter. My hands shook as I read it. Dearest Effie, I don't know if I'll ever have the courage to send this letter, but I need to write it down, need to confess what I've done. 5 days ago, I adopted a baby girl, a beautiful, perfect baby girl. The adoption agency said her mother had died in childbirth, that her father couldn't care for her. They said she needed a home urgently. But Effie, when I saw her, I knew immediately. She has your eyes, your nose, your beautiful brown skin, the exact same shade as yours. She's yours, Effie. She's the twin you thought died. I called the hospital, pretended to be a relative, and a nurse, an older nurse who felt guilty, told me the truth. She said your ex-husband paid the hospital $10,000 to tell you one twin died and to quietly arrange an adoption for the other. She said you never even knew you'd had twins. They kept you sedated, only showed you one baby. I should tell you, I know I should, but Effie, I saw how you're struggling with Berta, how hard it is being a single mother to one child, how exhausted you are, how you're working yourself to death trying to provide. And I realized, if I tell you about this baby, what will you do? You can't afford 2 children. You can barely afford one. You're 24 years old with no money, no help, no support. So I'm going to raise her. I'm going to love her. I'm going to give her the life you can't give her right now. And someday, when you're both ready, maybe I'll tell you the truth. Maybe. But for now, I'm keeping this secret. I'm raising your daughter as my own, and I'm naming her all to me after both our grandmothers, so she'll always carry a piece of both of us. I hope you can forgive me someday. I hope you'll understand I did this out of love. Love for you, and love for this beautiful baby girl who deserves a chance at a good life. Your forever friend, Aura. I couldn't see the last paragraph through my tears. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't process what I just learned. Aura had known for 50 years that she was raising my daughter, my baby that I'd thought had died, and she'd never told me, had taken that secret to her grave. Miss Effie, Alta's voice broke. Mama, can I call you that? Are you really my mother? Yes, I pulled her into my arms, held her the way I'd wanted to hold her 50 years ago but never got the chance. Yes, you're my daughter, you've always been my daughter, and Alta, everything makes sense now, everything. What do you mean? Why I recognized you immediately when you walked into my salon 30 years ago. Why I felt such a strong connection to you. Why I always wanted to protect you and help you succeed. It wasn't just because you reminded me of Aura. It was because you're my child, my daughter, my blood. We held each other and cried. 50 years of separation. 50 years of not knowing. 50 years of a mother and daughter who'd been in each other's lives but hadn't known their true connection. There's more, Pleasant said gently after we'd composed ourselves. I think you need to call your other children, all 3 of them. They need to hear this. They need to understand why you chose Alta. They'll never believe it. They'll have to. We have DNA tests. We can prove it. And Effie, they deserve to know the truth. As painful as it is, they deserve to understand that you didn't choose a stranger over them. You chose your daughter, the daughter you thought had died, the daughter who was stolen from you. 2 hours later, Berta, Grover, and Della sat in Pleasant's conference room. Grover had been released on bail specifically for this meeting. None of them wanted to be there. None of them would look at me. Why did you call us here? Berta asked coldly. Haven't you done enough damage? Haven't you destroyed our family enough? I destroyed the family. My voice was calm. You 3 tried to have me declared incompetent, tried to steal my business, hired criminals to terrorize Alta, fabricated evidence, and I destroyed the family. You chose her over us, Della shouted. You gave everything to a stranger. She's not a stranger, I said quietly. That's why I called you here, because you need to know the truth. The truth I just learned myself this morning. What truth? Grover asked suspiciously. Pleasant spread the documents on the table. 50 years ago, your mother gave birth to twins, Berta and Alta, but your father arranged to have Alta given up for adoption without your mother's knowledge. He told the hospital to tell her that one twin had died. Your mother has believed for 50 years that she lost a daughter at birth. She's been mourning a child she thought was dead. But that child wasn't dead. That child was adopted by Aura Freeman. That child was Alta. The room went completely silent. My children stared at the documents, at the birth certificates showing 2 Bobbies born to Effie Mee Thompson on March 15, 1974, at the adoption papers, at Aura's letter. This is a lie, Berta said, but her voice was shaking. This is fake. You made this up to justify giving her everything. It's not fake, Pleasant said. We've already done DNA testing. Alta and Effie are mother and daughter. Alta and Berta are twin sisters. This is real. This is the truth. Berta looked at Alta, really looked at her for the first time, and I saw the moment it clicked. The moment she saw the resemblance, saw her own features reflected in Alta's face, saw the truth she'd been denying. We're twins, Berta whispered. She's my twin sister. Yes, I said, and I didn't know. For 50 years, I didn't know my daughter was alive. Didn't know Aura was raising her. Didn't know that the woman who walked into my salon 30 years ago was the baby I'd mourned for decades. But you gave her the business. Della was crying now. You gave her everything, you cut us out. Because she earned it, because she worked for it, because she was loyal and honest and dedicated. Yes, she's my biological daughter, but that's not why I chose her. I chose her because of who she is, what she's accomplished, how she treats people. And you 3, you're my biological children too, but you tried to destroy me, tried to steal from me, tried to have me declared incompetent. Being my blood didn't stop you from betraying me. so why should it entitle you to my legacy? Because we're your children, Grover shouted. We're family. So is Alta. She's more family than you've been. She's the daughter who actually acted like a daughter, who cared about me as a person, not just as a source of money, who built something with me instead of trying to tear it down. But we didn't know. Berta was sobbing now. We didn't know she was our sister if we'd known. What? You would have treated her differently. You would have been less greedy. You would have cared about her. Berta, you shouldn't need someone to be your sister to treat them with decency. You shouldn't need someone to be your blood to respect what they've earned. Alta spoke for the first time. Her voice was quiet but firm. I didn't know I was Miss Effie's daughter either. I just found out this morning, and I'm still processing it. But I want you three to understand something. Even if I'd never learned this truth, even if I'd lived my whole life thinking I was just an employee, I still would have earned what she gave me, because I worked for it. I dedicated 30 years of my life to building Caldwell Beauty Group. I was there early every morning and late every night. I treated every customer with respect. I trained hundreds of employees. I helped turn one small salon into a 16-location empire. I earned this. And yes, I'm also her biological daughter, but that's not why she chose me. She chose me because I was the daughter who acted like a daughter should act, who loved her, who supported her, who was loyal. Those things aren't about DNA, they're about character. And you three showed your character when you tried to take everything from her. The room was silent except for the sound of my children crying. All three of them, because they finally understood, finally saw what they'd done, finally realized what they'd lost. I have a twin sister, Berta whispered. All these years I had a twin sister and I didn't know. I was horrible to her. I tried to destroy her. She broke down completely, sobbing, grieving for the relationship she'd never had, the sister she'd never known, the family she'd destroyed before she'd even known it existed. Grover looked at me with something like clarity for the first time in years. Mama, what have we done? What have we become? You became people who valued money over everything else, who forgot what really matters, who lost sight of what family means. Can you ever forgive us? Della asked. Can we ever fix this? I thought about that. Could I forgive them, after everything they'd done, after all the pain they'd caused? I don't know, I said honestly. I don't know if I can forgive you, and I don't know if you can fix this. But I do know this, the business is Alta's now. The estate is distributed. Those decisions are final. If you want any relationship with me going forward, it won't be based on money or inheritance. It will be based on you proving, over years, not days, that you've changed, that you've learned something, that you can be the children I raised you to be instead of the greedy strangers you became. And what about me? Berta looked at Alta. What about my twin sister? Can I ever know her? Can we ever have a relationship? Alta looked at her, studied her, saw her own face reflected back. I don't know, maybe, someday, but Berta, you broke into my house. You destroyed my belongings, you terrorized me. You fabricated evidence against me. You tried to take away everything I'd earned. I'm not sure I can trust you. I'm not sure I can forgive that. I understand, but please, please give me a chance. Give me a chance to make this right, to be the sister I should have been all along. Maybe, Alta said. Someday, but not today, not for a long time. Today I need space. I need time to process that I'm not who I thought I was, that my mother wasn't my biological mother, that I have a twin sister I never knew existed, that my entire life has been something different than I believed, and I need to do that processing without you in my space. Berta nodded, tears streaming down her face. I understand. 6 months later, I stood in the flagship Caldwell Beauty Salon watching Alta train a new group of stylists. She was a natural leader, patient, encouraging, firm when needed, exactly what the company needed. She caught my eye and smiled. My daughter, the daughter I'd mourned for 50 years, the daughter I'd unknowingly mentored for 30 years, the daughter I'd always loved without knowing why. You're starring, she said, coming over during a break. I'm just proud of you, proud of what you've built, proud of who you've become. We built it together, Mama. She still got emotional every time she called me that. We both did. How are you doing? With everything? Finding out about your mother, about Aura, about me. Some days are harder than others. I miss Aura. Even though she lied to me, I understand why she did it. She loved me. She gave me a good life. And she gave you peace of mind, thinking I was in good hands even though you didn't know I was alive. Do you think she would have told us? Eventually. I think she wanted to. I found other letters in her things. Letters she wrote but never sent. Letters to you. Letters to me. She was planning to tell us both when I turned 18. But then she got sick. And by the time I was old enough to handle the truth, she was too weak to tell it. She died with the secret still locked inside her. I wish I could thank her for raising you, for loving you, for keeping you safe. She knew you were grateful. Even without knowing I was your daughter, you were grateful to her for being your friend. She carried that gratitude with her. Berta, Grover, and Della had all reached out multiple times over the past 6 months, apologizing, begging for forgiveness, asking for chances to make things right. I'd responded to some of their messages. Not all. I was taking it slow, very slow. Grover had pleaded guilty to the charges related to Alta's break-in. He'd served 4 months in jail and was now on probation. He'd written me a long letter taking full responsibility for his actions, apologizing not just to me but to Alta, acknowledging that he'd lost his way. I'd written back, brief but not unkind, told him I appreciated the apology, that I hoped he'd use this time to become a better person, that maybe someday we could rebuild something, but not yet. Della had started therapy, working on her issues, her need for validation, her tendency to lie to make herself look good. She'd sent me a card every week for 6 months, not asking for anything, just saying she loved me, that she was sorry, that she was trying to change. I'd kept every card, haven't responded to most, but I kept them. Maybe that meant something. Berta had been the most persistent. She wanted to know Alta, wanted to build a relationship with her twin sister. She'd respected Alta's boundaries, but made it clear she was ready whenever Alta was. Last week, Alta had finally agreed to meet her for coffee. Just coffee, nothing more. They'd talked for 2 hours. It had been awkward, painful at times, but it was a start. She's trying, Alta told me afterward. I can see she's really trying. She asked about my life, about my childhood with Aura, about what it was like growing up without knowing I had a twin. And she told me about her life, about how she'd always felt like something was missing, like she was incomplete. Now she knows why. Do you think you'll see her again? Maybe, probably, but slowly. I'm not ready to trust her yet, but I'm willing to see if she can earn that trust. That's all anyone can ask. Today, Caldwell Beauty Group is thriving. Alta has expanded it to 20 locations, hired more employees, increased revenue by 40%. She's taken my legacy and made it even stronger. And she's done it with integrity, with honor, with the values I taught her without knowing she was my daughter. My children, Berta, Grover, and Della, are slowly learning to live without the inheritance they thought they deserved, learning to make their own way, learning that being someone's child doesn't entitle you to their life's work. Some days I feel sad about it. Sad that it took such a dramatic revelation to make them see what they'd become. Sad that we lost so many years to greed and resentment. But other days I feel hopeful. Hopeful that they're changing. Hopeful that someday we might rebuild something. Maybe not what we had before, that's gone forever, but something new, something more honest. And I'm grateful. Grateful that I found my daughter. Grateful that Alta walked into my salon 30 years ago and gave me a second chance to be her mother, even though neither of us knew that's what we were. Grateful that my legacy is in the hands of someone who will honor it, protect it, build on it. My family tried to steal my legacy. They screamed when the truth was revealed, when they learned that the stranger I'd chosen was actually my daughter. The twin sister Berta never knew she had. The child I'd mourned for 50 years. They screamed because they realized they'd tried to destroy their own sister. They screamed because they understood they'd lost everything, not because I was cruel, but because they'd been greedy. They screamed because the truth shattered every justification they'd told themselves. But from that screaming, from that moment of truth, came the possibility of healing. Not immediate healing, not easy healing, but the kind of slow, painful healing that comes from facing what you've done and choosing to be better. My legacy is safe now, in the hands of my daughter, the daughter who earned it twice, once through 30 years of dedication and once by being born mine. And that's all I ever wanted, for my life's work to matter, for it to continue, for it to be in hands that would care for it the way I've cared for it. Blood doesn't make family, love makes family, loyalty makes family, honor makes family. Alto is my family, my daughter, my legacy. And finally, after 50 years of grief and 30 years of unknowing, we're together the way we should have been all along. Wow, she was her daughter the whole time. TWINS separated at birth. What an incredible journey from betrayal to the most shocking revelation. If this story moved you, inspired you, or left you absolutely speechless, we need you to take action right now. Smash that like button. Subscribe to our channel for more powerful grandmother stories every single week. Turn on all notifications so you never miss our next amazing story. Comment below and tell us, where are you watching from? USA, UK, Canada, Jamaica, South Africa, Kenya, Trinidad, Australia. We love our global family. Did you see that twist coming? Would you forgive the children who tried to steal everything? Have you ever discovered a family secret this shocking? What story should we tell next? Share this video with anyone dealing with greedy family members, people who have had to cut off toxic relatives, anyone who's discovered shocking family secrets, people who believe family is about love, not blood. Everyone who needs to know, legacy is earned, not inherited. Thank you to our incredible viewers from around the world. From the USA, United Kingdom, Canada, South Africa, Germany, Jamaica, Trinidad, Barbados, Zimbabwe, Australia, and everywhere else. We see you, we appreciate you, and we love you. Remember this story's lessons. Legacy must be EARNED, not inherited. Blood doesn't make family, loyalty does. Sometimes the family you choose is better than the family you're born with. Greed destroys everything. And the most shocking truths can heal the deepest wounds. Never let toxic family members steal what you built. Your life's work deserves to go to those who earned it. Stay strong, stay blessed, and remember, the people who truly deserve your legacy will prove it through their actions, not demand it because of their bloodline.